party. As usual, I'm late, but that doesn't matter now because I'm here. So for a long time, I didn't watch a lot of TV. I think I'm ready to catch up. I would like to invite you on a ride as I recap some of the things I've been recommended over time. I just started the show Supernatural. My name is Bianca, and this is my interpretation. Y'all, my notes and my interpretation of this show. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I got it right. Just like, share, comment. Please subscribe and come along with me as we do this. So let's get into it, shall we? Episode one is titled Pilot, and it takes place about 22 years before the present date in Lawrence, Kansas. We meet the family of Sam and Dean with their parents in his bedtime. Everyone is down for bed, and boom, the electricity goes haywire. The clocks pause, the TV and the baby monitor become fuzzy. The baby is fuzzy, and the mom, which I don't think they actually said her name, calls out for her husband, John. So now we know that it's Sam and Dean, which are babies and like maybe 6. The dad, John, and their mom. John is in with the baby wearing a trench coat and tells her to shh, because he's trying to get the baby down, So she walks up the hall and notices a blinking light. She noticed the TV is on. She heads down the steps. I guess just, turning off after everybody goes to sleep. Lights are on, TV's on, normal routine. But John doesn't sleep in front of the TV. So John is in front of the TV asleep. Who the hell is in there with that baby? That's what I want to know. So boom, the mom goes streaking back up the steps. And instead of yelling for her husband then, which I would have went to go save my kids. But we got to wake this man up because there's this weird man in a trench coat standing over my baby. We got to go. We as a team, as a collective, we have to go. Anyhow, let me not get off track. Mom screams, and I'll be down. Right here is when we find out her name is Mary. We're already into the show. Just a few seconds. Her name is Mary. How we know it's Mary? Because he's screaming, Mary! After he hears her scream. It's kind of like the mom on Batman, and every time some Martha. Anyways. John finally wake up, and we see that he has on a USMC shirt, and he goes running up the steps, screaming his wife's name. Why did I mention his shirt? Well, it's because it lets me know that he can do something. He can hunt, gather, pitch a tent, forage, something. He can do something. So he makes it up the steps and is silent as hell all through the house like nothing ever happened. But the baby's up. He's cool and happy. Like, I live here, just living a baby's life. But we don't see Mary. John is confused, and at this point, I was confused too. Suddenly, something wet drops over that baby. He reaches hand out, and 2 more dark, wet drops fall, so he look up. Y'all, Mary's on the ceiling pussy popping. She is like cut open. It's blood just dripping, and all of a sudden, boom, she bursts into flames. He yells for the kids, big quick. I don't know how they actually got out so quick because the kids are asleep, remember? So the little boy runs in. That one's Dean. He runs in and he pushes his brother out, and then John goes back in to go try to get his wife, who then literally bursts into flames on the ceiling. The whole thing is engulfed. It's crazy. And at this point, are these babies about to be orphans? Because I really thought that once they exploded, boom, it was about to be orphans. They actually showed it. John ran out the house and he had Sam and D. So the room exploded. There's no going back. Unfortunately, we lost Mary as soon as we found her. Now, we're going to fast forward to the present day, and Sam is at Stanford living with his girlfriend. He's studying to be a lawyer. Hoping for a full scholarship at his current school. They get back from a Halloween party. It's his girlfriend and himself. They went to a party. They hung out with his homeboy, and that's when we found out that he was hoping for a full scholarship. Anyhow, Sam, which was a little baby at the time, is woken up by some dude breaking into his house in the middle of the night. And the dude who broke in, not woke him up. He didn't wake him up. He heard rustling. He just walking around there comfortable as could be, like everything's cool. What I did see is Sam and homeboy who done broke in, they get to bucking. They fighting, right? Come to find out, it's his brother Dean. Honestly, leave it to your older sibling to break into your house and do something weird like that and come just messing with you. And you can see by what they were doing. Obviously, these boys were real fighting. It was kind of a cute little scuffle scene, The girlfriend, Jess, who never actually met Dean, so it's clear to say that they don't keep in touch a lot, said she was, while they were at the bar, Sam said he wasn't the family's golden boy, while Dean, let's see. The girlfriend Jess had never met Dean, so it was clear to say they didn't keep too much in touch. Sam said he wasn't the family's golden boy while they were at the bar. Dean came to talk to Sam because they said that dad hadn't been home in a few days. Sam says he's probably working overtime. Nope. Sam says he's probably working over on the Miller time shift. In other words, dad's somewhere drunk. He disappeared. He might be slumped over. He all right. He's having a moment. I think it'd be cool. He essentially waves Dean off while he's there. Now, I don't know if my sibling I haven't seen in a while, and I don't know the ins and outs of the relationship, but if my sibling I haven't seen in a while came and told me, hey, somebody's missing, I might kind of reconsider. Then again, I also might not care, and Sam did not care. However, he's like, it's cool. He'll be drunk. He'll be back as he drives off. At first, Sam waves the request to talk outside alone without Jess. Then his brother's like, Dad's on a hunting trip and he hasn't been seen in a few days. Now it's, excuse me, Jess, we need to talk. So he asks if Sam will excuse himself. You mean to tell me your brother you haven't seen in years pop up at your spot in the middle of the night, say, I need to talk to you. You say, you have to talk to us, meaning me and my girlfriend, or, it was me and my girlfriend for him. That's it. And you don't think it's a problem. Unless your brother's on something heavy, I would be alarmed, but that's just me. You know. So Dean wants Sam to come with him to find her dad. Sam isn't with it. He said their dad is always missing. Dean is saying it's not that long. I think he said he might have been missing for maybe like 3 weeks or so. This is where we find out these boys were raised hunting all types of things. And I don't mean bears. This is a family disconnect somewhere. Sam just wants a normal life. Dean loves the supernatural hunting. So I'm going to take it ever since Mary exploded on the ceiling after her pussy popping adventure. This is when they started trying to figure out what all's out in the world versus just, I said she was on the ceiling pussy popping, but like her back was up against the ceiling. Like something was obviously hovering her. But come on, we're watching Supernatural. So obviously something's going on, right? That's what I thought. All right, back to it. So there is a family disconnect where Sam just wants a normal life. Dean loves a supernatural hunting life. Whether he says it or not, Sam is starting to become intrigued. I mean, his dad's been missing. They've been training their whole lives to catch whatever got their mom. John found a pattern of missing men before he left. And as he was gone, he left a distorted voicemail for Dean. By the way, John was pissed at his younger son for going off to college. That's why they haven't been speaking for a while. We find that out is, when you be quiet, stuff starts to unrattle. Well, at least that's how it works for me in my life. All right. So Sam agrees to go with Dean, but he has to be back first thing Monday morning for the interview. The interview is how he's going to actually get his scholarship to become a lawyer. Sam tells his brother that it's for law school and his whole future is riding on it. Sam is still convinced that her dad is just somewhere drunk. So he's going to go, but he like, yeah, do I really have to be here, So the boys head to Jericho, California to pick up a trail from their dad. So we're going from Kansas to California. No, they're not in Kansas anymore. I take that back because they're in California to California. I think it's maybe 600 miles or so. I looked it up while I was on this and completely forgot because he's at Stanford. Boom. I'm back. I lied. Just kidding. We see a dude driving a car. He's talking to, which we're assuming his girlfriend from the conversation they were having. He sees the lady trailing on the side of the road. He says he's going to call his girlfriend back. As he's pulling over to this lady who's shimmying under a tree in the moonlight, she's just standing still, says, take me home. This man don't ask her name or anything, just sure, get in. Dick was obviously driving his car this night because what's going on here? He agreed to take her home. And once again, no info, no worries, no cares. He just pulled up to an old bando and is convinced that Nameless here doesn't live there. He's looking at the house and saying, I can never go home. Baby girl disappeared from the car. Let's try this again. She's looking at the house and saying, I can never go home. Baby girl disappeared without opening the door from this man's car, okay? So the horny goat decides to get out the car and walk towards the house. We're going to call it abandoned because that's what it was. It was abandoned. It was just an abandoned house for the sake of calling it what it is. If you do not know what abandoned is, it's just that, an abandoned home, okay? So inside the bando, you see a picture of the moonlight dancer and 2 kids. It's inside of a picture frame, so yeah, it was her house at one point. Birds come flying out of nowhere, and for the first time, our little horny hero decides to get in the car and drive off. And this is probably the smartest thing that he's done all night. So as he's speeding away from the house, he sees the lady in a rearview mirror. His car was just empty though. So you know how you look up and you glance, boom, the little dancer, she popped back in the mirror. He kind of screamed. It wasn't really a scream. It was he panicked. So then instead of stopping the car, like, you know, because since he goes flying through this barricade that was on a bridge, the bridge is the last thing homeboy see. Now he's screaming. Now he's screaming for real. And blood goes flying everywhere. And the moonlight dancer got that boy up out of there. And rest in peace, little horny goat. We don't know what the hell is going on at this point, but she didn't kill this boy. The one thing I can tell you, because now we're fast forwarding back to Sam and Dean, is I love when people find a way. So our boys is out here scamming. They're applying, the dad and Dean are applying for these credit cards, and they'll just get them in somebody's name. And this is how they're getting over, because Dean ended up saying, hey, hunting doesn't really pay the bills. So they're out here doing this good work, but they're not really getting paid for it because, you know, who knows what's going on here, okay? So they stop at a gas station. Dean offers Sam breakfast. Sam turned his nose up at it. And it's not because it's like a Mountain Dew and some candy or something weird like that. It's literally because of the credit cards. They just running fraud and scamming. So as they're doing this, Sam is calling the hospitals, the morgues. They're really looking for their dad, okay? They haven't found out about the horny little boy that ran off the side of the road and killed on the bridge by the little ghost. We don't know about that yet. So within a few miles outside of Jericho, they cross the this is when they cross they come across the a few miles outside of Jericho, they cross the crime scene of the horny goat's car on the bridge. There's cops everywhere, and this is when we see Dean has a full box of false law enforcement IDs. Sam is flabbergasted, like he's completely thrown off. But when I say my boys were scamming, my boys were scamming, okay? So what I'm going to guess is things have changed since the last time Sam was actually hanging out with his family, because we got all of this stuff and Sam had no idea his brother had all of these badges. He knew about the credit cards, but not the badges. The sheriffs are looking in the creek and they're looking for the car for the body, but there's nothing, like no toenails, no nothing. They can't figure it out. But this is where we find out that the horny goat's name is Troy. Troy was actually dating the sheriff's daughter, and her name was Amy. So he was talking to Amy when he saw the little dancer in the moonlight and got off. Amy had no idea that Troy got off the phone with her to kick it with another lady. So unfortunately, our sweet little Amy, well, we don't know if she's sweet, but for sake of it, we're going to call her sweet, is downtown putting up posters. What have you seen Troy? That's our honey boat. Her little sleeves ball, she can't find her sleeves ball, so she's trying to put up random, have you seen this guy? Dean ended up going over and he's talking to the sheriffs, posing as a federal marshal. He knows the sheriffs have no idea what's going on. Let's see. Anyhow, Dean walked up to the sheriffs of the town and started spilling facts about the case. So he's convinced them that he is a federal marshal. The sheriffs let them know they have no clue what they're really looking at. It could be anything. a kidnapping ring, a serial killer. They just don't know. Nina is obviously with the shits and says exactly kind of BS he is suspect for though. Sam kicks him. Right? We don't know if he stepped on his foot, could him in the ankle or what, but he kicked him. Sam thanks the officers for his time. The future lawyer is upset because he doesn't like how his brother's talking to the police. I really need to know that there's character development with this man, Sam, or I'm probably not going to be able to finish this because this is interesting and boring at the same time, but Sam is really on my last damn nerve so far. I think we're only a few minutes into the show and I'm ready to hang him up. Like, just get over with. Back to it. They really stopped to see if they can get a lead on her dad. Nope, they sure didn't. As they're leaving, the FBI shows up to the scene. They and look at them all kind of crazy. They head to town to find Amy. They introduce themselves to her as Troy's uncles to see if he can find some things. Amy's like, he never mentioned you. They say, oh yeah, well, we're normally out of town. Sounds like Troy, So Amy goes over the story and say what he knows what happened with. Amy goes over the story and see if they can see how they disappear. However, her homegirl, Amy goes over the story and they say they know he disappeared. However, her homegirl's with her. She's like going over a local legend about a lady that was murdered out on Centennial. People claim to still see her sometimes as she's hitchhiking. So whoever pick her up from wherever she is out hitchhiking is typically men, and they never see her again. I'm sorry, y'all. There's a giant something in my backyard. What the hell is that? Dun, dun, dun. It was a bag, and I obviously don't have my glasses on. So people claim to still see this lady sometimes as she's hitchhiking. Whoever picked her up is never seen from again. And this is the type of thing that Sam and Dean are looking for. They head over to the library because, this is quite a while ago. No one was just pulling out random phones to look stuff up. They head to the library to look up the information on the Centennial Highway murder. Nothing's coming up. Sam recalls angry murders. Sam recalls angry spirits are born out of violent death. That doesn't automatically make it a murder. Hopefully I can remember this whole part while I don't know. He typed in suicide, and now we're getting results. It happened in 1981, and the story is this. Our moonlight dancer is 24 years old, and while bathing her two kids, she walked away for a moment, and they both drowned. Okay, so these are probably the two kids that we seen, in the picture frame earlier. She couldn't take it out. She couldn't handle it, so she jumped off a bridge. And about an hour after calling 911, it happened in 1990. Oh, no, it happened in 1981. The story is this. Our moonlight dancer was 24 years old. While bathing her two kids, she walked away for a moment, and they both drowned. She couldn't take it, so she jumped off a bridge about an hour after calling 911. At least that's the story her husband told. By the way, the moonlight dancer's name is Constance. We're getting somewhere finally. I'm not saying horrible accidents don't happen, but this just doesn't connect to me. Mostly because the kids in the picture were a little bit older, meaning like a couple years older. They weren't just smaller, or they could sit up, and if it was a little bit of water, it's a little bit harder for them to drown. Okay. Also, only men are disappearing. No women picking up hitchhikers, just men. I digress. Let's keep it going. The boys head back to the bridge where all of the action is happening. The same bridge where Constance took her life is where it's happening. Sam is wondering if their dad had been to the bridge. Dean says it might take a while to find their dad. Sam is on the time schedule. He's still trying to get back to Monday. Nope. The boys head back to the bridge where all the action is happening. It's the same bridge where Constance took her life. So Sam is wondering if the dad had been to the bridge where Dean is saying it might take a while to find dad. Sam's on the time schedule, still trying to get back by Monday to take his test to get into law school. And you can tell Dean that his brother wants back. Sam is wondering if their dad had been to the bridge. Dean says it's probably going to take a little bit of time to find her dad. Dean is the older brother. I don't know if I actually said that while I was explaining who Sam and Dean were. They're possibly like 6 years apart at this time. Yeah, I think so. So Dean is saying that it's going to take a little bit of time to find her dad, but Sam was like, yo, I'm still on a time crunch. So you got to remember, he's trying to get into law school. He's not convinced that he wants to go on to this hunting. He just wants to find his dad. They just so happen to find out that this weird shit is happening in this town, Jericho. Okay? So Dean asks, what did he think he's going to do? Like, live a normal life, just go be a lawyer and that's it, and maybe raise kids? Sam was like, yeah, that's what he wants to do. So he wants to know if Jess knows about what he's doing. Dean is like, does she know everything since she won? This is the one. Essentially, I'm making shit up now, okay? You can tell Dean wants his brother back by his side. He's essentially asking Sam if he thinks he's just going to go to live a normal life. He also asks if Jess knows the things that Sam has done. Sam tells Dean she knows, but she does not know. Sam tells Dean she does not know and she's not going to know. Well, we're just going to leave that out for a while. Dean's like, that's healthy. He's convinced that Sam can live a Dean is convinced that Sam can't go live a normal life. Sam tells Dean if it wasn't for the pictures, he wouldn't know what their mother looks like. Dean is pissed, but it's true. He was, a little infant. He doesn't know her. But Dean remembers. So he's pissed, kind of yoke him up a little bit and just walk it off. Because Dean was older, he was definitely affected more by what happened. Suddenly, while all this is going on, Constance appears on the bridge right in front of the boys. They jump. No. Suddenly, Constance appears on the bridge right in front of the boys, and they see her jump. They go running after her. I don't know why they go running after her. They know she's dead. Maybe that's why, because they need to figure this out. Anyways, once they go running after her, Dean's car starts up and then go careening towards them. So they have to run. They both jump over the bridge. Dean makes it all the way down to the water and Sam just kind of hang on for a bit. The crazy thing about this, the keys were in Dean's pocket. Never any time were they in the car. So it couldn't have been just somebody playing with them in the car. This is actually going down. So the next scene, we see the guys trying to rent a room and boom, we got action. The innkeeper asks if they're having a reunion, because there's another man with the same last name, the same fake last name. They came to rent out a room for a while for the whole month. Sam didn't forget his training because he was able to pick the lock in their dad's room. Next, we see the guys trying to rent a room, and then boom, we got action. The innkeeper asks if they're having a reunion. There's another man that was there with the same last name coming to rent out a room for a whole month. So I guess I get the information to see what room that the dad is in, and you can see that Sam just didn't forget his training, like he's trying to wave it off because he was able to pick the lock to their dad's room. And then you see that the room, the wall, the bed, everything is plastered with all of this, like old newspapers on the wall with articles about what's going on. And then it's like old food laying around. So then that way they were trying to see about how long the dad had been there, or how long it's been since he was there, I should say. On the walls, you see that there are Centennial Bridge victims, but none of the guys seems to have a connection. The only thing they had in common was each other, that they were all missing. Looking over the papers, it was noted that their dad figured out about a woman in white. The woman was Constance. Dean said if he figured out, then he would have found the corpse and destroyed it. So this ain't. We're going to go with the only way to get rid of this angry spirit is to destroy the corpse. Is they're going to get cleaned up, and Sam go apologize to Dean for what he said about their mom. He also noticed a picture. He noticed this picture of their dad and him sitting on a car from like years ago when they were little. After a while, Sam is checking in with Jess, his girlfriend, and Dean is going to go grab food. Dean notices the police talking to the innkeep, and then like the innkeep pointed over to them because I guess it's catching up that it's fraud now. Who knows? This was a while ago. It takes a minute. Yes, the innkeep caught about fake credit cards. Dean is arrested, but before he's taken into by the cops, he had time to call Sam and tell him to run out the back door. At the precinct, the police is trying to get real information from Dean. They tell him that he's in trouble. There are 12 missing persons pictured, taped all over the wall, and satanic mumbo jumbo. He's a suspect. Dean points out the first one went missing when he was just 3 years old. The cop said, "I know you have a partner. It's an older guy." And the cop guessed his name was Dean because they found his dad's notebook as well as a note that said Dean with some numbers. I'm going to guess that the numbers kind of hint to what they're working with. Who knows? While Dean is locked up, Sam went to call Constance. While Dean is locked up, Sam went to go talk to Constance's husband, Joseph. Joseph said that he's seen John a few days back. While he said that he was a reporter, Sam said that, yeah, they were working on a story together and he's just fact-checking. So Joseph told him and his dad where Constance was buried. She's buried behind the old house on Breckenridge, which is, the old bando. Joseph never remarried because Constance was the love of his life. He moved to where he was because he couldn't live in a house where his kids died. Sam asked Joseph if it was a happy marriage. Joseph paused for a moment and he kind of looked off. He's like, yes. He was leaving and Sam asked Joseph if he ever heard of a woman in white. Joseph is of course confused. Sam explains that she's either called the weeping woman or a woman in white. This is a ghost stereotype of phenomenon. This is a woman in white. He said it's a ghost story, a type of phenomenon where the husband were unfaithful to the wives. The women who suffer from temporary insanity from the unfaithful wives murdered their children. Once realizing what they did, they took their own lives as well. The women then became cursed spirits that kill unfaithful men. Joseph is pissed. He is pissed, and then he confirmed that he was cheating on his wife, but he didn't believe Constance killed the kids. So what he says is, well, I might have made some mistakes, but Constance would have never killed those kids. Okay. It's safe to say that if John did figure it out, he didn't go under Joseph's skin. It's safe to say that if John didn't figure it out, he didn't get under Joseph's skin the way that Sam did because he directly told Sam to leave and never come back there. And you know what? It wasn't until the scene where I realized Sam might be okay. He might start to grow on me. He got it in him. He got a little dog in him, He ain't just what I thought he was going to be. So back at the police station, Dean's still being questioned. He still is not giving anything up. Not at all. The sheriff asked if he had to go to the bathroom because they had got a call, and he was like, good. So they had to go out. The story was that some shots were fired, and they need to keep Dean there. Funny thing about Dean being handcuffed to the table, he was able to pick them handcuffs with a paperclip that was left in the stack of papers. That's a bad man. So once the station was clean, Dean was able to escape. Sam called in a fake shooting so his brother can get loose. I like that about, okay, Sam. Okay, I see you. When Dean called his brother Sam, that's where we got Dan from a payphone. So when's the last time you seen a payphone? Get back to it. Sam was able to tell Dean where Constance was buried. Sam's just trying to figure out why John didn't destroy the corpse if he knew where it was. Dean told Sam because John left Jericho and he left coordinates in his journal. Dean wasn't sure where his dad was heading to yet. John left the journal behind and he never leaves without it. As the guys were talking, Sam almost ran over Constance because now they're together. Nope. As the guys were talking, Sam almost ran over Constance. He's driving up the same road to go to Breckenridge. As he actually ended up running through her, which is crazy because if we didn't know that the girl was dead from when she was flickering before, he ran through her and she ended up in the car. Okay. So she popped up in the backseat and the man, she's like, take me home. He's like, no. He's putting his foot down. No, I'm not taking you home. Because, you know, she's killing these guys that are unfaithful. And he's like, girl, I don't know you. I got a woman. And she like, so what ended up happening, she locked the door and you could see the gas pedal go down. The car starts accelerating and he's not doing anything with it. So Sam is trying to get away from Constance. Constance is really trying to get to Sam. He's like, I'm not unfaithful. You can't kill me. She's like, you will be. She climbed on top of this man and started trying to seduce him. He is really like, nah, I'm straight. What ended up happening, she put his hand out on his chest and it's like going through his chest and he is screaming. He's in agonizing pain. Dean come through, start shooting at her. I don't really know what happens when you shoot a ghost, but she kind of disappeared for a moment. And when they get to the house, she's doing the same thing where she's like, I can never go in there. He's like, you are now. He takes the car, runs it straight through the house. Now she's trapped in the house. So as their house, she's not trapped in the house. I mean, this has to be like a really small town because Sam was able to drive to the house while they were on the phone, but Dean just runs up like where he get ready to shoot her. She's now in the house. She picks up a picture of herself and the kids, the same picture I've been talking about. So I guess me pointing it out and I'm showing it had a reason. But then she's pissed. After she picked up the picture of the kids, she's pissed. She flung a dresser at them, so now they're stuck between the car and the dresser. The lights start flickering in the house, and then water is running down the stairs. Constance look up the stairs, and then we see these two kids. Her kids like grab her and hug her, but then they drag her down. So she's screaming, and all three of them, her two kids and herself, disappear. So she did kill the kids. They didn't just accidentally drown all over her husband. So Constance was scared to face her kids, and that's why she didn't want to go home, where she kept saying, I can never go home. She was scared of her kids. So her corpse actually did not have to be destroyed. Her weak spot was her kids. They mentioned earlier in the show that maybe there was another weak spot just in case they could not find the corpse. So she's still buried in the back of the house. They didn't have to burn her down. On the way out, Sam figured out that their dad went to Black Bottle Ridge, Colorado. And then from the coordinates that he left, which was actually the numbers by Dean, and it was about 600 miles away from where they are now. Dean is hoping Sam will go with him. Sam is sticking to his original plan in an interview for law school. Dean is visibly hurt and disappointed, and reluctantly he took his brother back home as promised. Sam asked Dean to call when he found their dad, and maybe they can meet up later. So it's not like, hey, take me back, and then I never want to see you again. It's like, maybe we'll meet up. Just go and kick it. They agree that they make a good team. Like, it was pretty fun to them. They figure it out, and then Dean drives off. Sam walks into the house to look for Jess. He heard the shower running, and he kind of smirks, so he just lay back on the bed, yes, with all of his clothes on, and he closed his eyes. Damn it, with his eyes closed with him laying on the bed, then a drop of blood fall on his forehead. When he opened his eyes, Jess also is now on the ceiling, cut open, just like Mary was 22 years prior, now pussy popping. Somehow Dean knew and kicked the door in. They don't say how he knew or what happened, but he just grabbed Sam from the room that he's in now, which is now engulfed in flames, just like the mom was 22 years ago. Same thing happening. Like, the fire's put out, but it was too late for Jess. So now Sam's ready to work. I'll admit it, this was a really good tie-in. From the beginning, how it started, to the end, coming on down with the girlfriend and everything else happening. I'll give it a few more episodes. I'm not completely convinced that I want to stick around for like the whole thing. But that was cute. I kind of see where it came from, you know? So if you've been hearing this song and the interpretation wasn't as butchered as it could have been, and yes, I was reading, because when I say it was so much going on in this episode that I couldn't just remember point to point to point to point to point to point to point. It was an hour. It was an hour. Okay. Please like, share, follow, and comment. I would love to see you around. We're going to give it a little bit more time to see if I'm actually going to finish this show out. Thanks.